Chapter 5 is all about women. Guess what we've called it? You never will. We've called it, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Come on! Come on! No, I know. Damning it. I would never have come up with that. But nonetheless, I wrote this chapter in the run-up to the election this year. If that makes it sound like I finished it really quickly. Yes. And as I was writing it, there are so many things that you want to talk about with women in the ancient world. That I had to kind of pick one, and so to talk to you about today. And so I went with this because the election still seems very recent to me. There were far fewer women in the ancient world than there were men. And this is for the excellent reason that some people used to simply kill girls when they were born because they couldn't afford them. Additionally, girls got less food than boys, by and large, so they died of malnutrition. And it's one of those things where you go, oh yeah, well that's absolutely fine, we've fixed that. I recommend to you Half the Sky, if you haven't read it. I will put up a reference to it on my website, which tells you exactly what the figures are now. But so 107 men for every 100 women in China, 111 men for every 100 women in Pakistan. They reckon, the authors, that about 2 million girls a year go missing. They call it gendercide, which is loathsome, but you kind of know what they're aiming for. And so I think that was a really interesting point to come to voting rights and the free lunch. Because in the ancient Roman world, once the emperors came in, it was very easy for ordinary people to not pay very much attention to their votes. And when I say people, I of course mean men. Juvenal famously slags the Roman populace up for giving up their vote for Parnimekka bread and circuses. And he doesn't mean actual, bread, actual circus. He means the dole that's given to people every single day to spend on bread, or actual bread to take home, and that's what he means. But the dole doesn't go out to everybody, it goes out to every voter, and that means every man. And if you were a married man, your dole isn't enough to feed you and your wife. Children, by and large, got a separate dole. Boys got more than girls. Obviously, because future soldiers of Rome, more important than future mothers of soldiers of Rome. Short term. And so, it seems to me that the no such thing as a free lunch has never been truer than when we think about this kind of politics. It makes me so angry when people say they can't be bothered to vote. I do understand that sometimes choosing between 3 political parties in this instance is a little bit like choosing whether you get drowned in Coke, Pepsi or Virgin Cola. I get it, but that doesn't really make up for the fact that you need to have an awful lot of vote before you can afford to be cavalier about your vote. We're so often reminded of the suffragettes. Someone threw themselves in front of a horse for your vote. Do you know what? That's charming, even though I think she had a return ticket, so maybe she slipped. Disappointing, not a big suicidal statement. Oh, clumsy. But nonetheless, this is a better example, I think. Nobody died over it. People died because they didn't have it. People didn't die to not have, to stop having no vote anymore. They died because they didn't count. They didn't get the food because they didn't have a vote. And that's what having a vote means. It doesn't matter if you don't like anyone. It doesn't matter if you feel somehow it's beneath you to go and vote. What matters is, when you didn't have a vote, you were hungry. And the Romans really comprehensively proved that. And it was something that made me really cross when I was writing it as a chapter. And then I talked about Sappho and cheered up, and it was all fun.